Hi, Ghosties. I'm Macy.
And I'm Natalie.
And today we're combining our interests with our fears in the form of ghost ships.
All right. Didn't put that together, but now I'm scared. I wasn't thinking about the fear of the ocean.
Yeah, just the discussion on the vast openness of waters and spooky phantoms.
Great.
Coming together. And I wanted to be a little clear that there are ghost ships and then there are ghost ships. So when you Google ghost ship, usually what you'll find is like ships that are abandoned somehow. Like they just kind of wash ashore, or another ship passes and finds that they're unmanned. Like their whole crew, everyone's gone.
That's eerie.
It's really creepy. Really creepy. Doesn't fit the prompt here today. But yeah, it was really spooky. I read a lot of them before I realized I was like, this isn't what I'm looking for. But yeah, I recommend you looking into that because it is spooky in a true crime kind of way.
Oh, what do you mean? Like someone wiped out the whole crew and then the ship just kept floating along?
Yeah, that. Some people believe like some of them could be pirates. Some of it could be all the people just happened to fall overboard and not be able to get back up. Some of them did just have absolutely no clue.
That's really
scary. I read one where there was dinner still on the table, like waiting for them, and everyone was gone. Like radio on, dinner on table, everyone's gone.
Alien.
Possibly. There are a lot of people who think that they're aliens.
I don't know. I just feel like if you're on a boat, not everyone from the entire boat is going to go into the water. It's going to be one person, like steering the ship or
Maybe.
like staying in. Why would you all leave? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Out of desperation is the only thing I can think of. But
like, what showed up on your ship that made you jump into the
pirates, water? Or you're trying to save your friend who fell in and realizing that now you also can't get back up, or a brawl and you all just kind of fall over together. I don't know. But that's not what we're talking about today. We are going to be talking about literal spirits, either on ships or of ships.
And I'm here for it.
And before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that while I was researching and doing my writing, I was listening to spooky sea shanties on Spotify.
Oh my God.
Just to get in the mood.
She'll send us, like, Spotify makes, like, playlists, and it's, like, bearded lady yodeling on a Wednesday afternoon playlist for Macy. And it's, like, the most random prompts.
Yes.
And I don't understand.
My most recent one was Divorced Dad Rock for a Monday evening or something like that.
That's a good one. But
yeah, they're weird. Like Goblin Core. I get Goblin Core for Macy, and yeah, a lot of it. But one of them was spooky sea shanties, and I listened to it, and it worked.
Got you in the mood. All right.
Our tea for today is a repeat. It's the Republic of Tea, the People's Green Tea.
It's a good one, so let's go. This one's a good one. I think this might be like maybe my favorite, just because it just tastes neutral.
Yes.
There's no like extra flavor to it. It's just a good tea.
Yeah, I think you said this last time too, that this was your top tea. First you said you liked green tea, and then when we tried this one, you're like, yeah, this is the better one for me.
I'm not big on like flavored drinks. I've found that out recently. I just like water.
Yeah,
I really do.
Anyway, so there was one that I almost put in here. It was a very big mystery. It's called the Orang Medan, and there are no records of this ship. So no one knows if it was legend or if it actually happened. But apparently there was a ship that was seen off of, maybe it was Malaysia or something, and they were getting radio signals saying like the whole crew is dead. Like help, basically. The whole crew is dead. Everyone's dead. And then a few minutes later, I die. And that's the last thing they heard from them, okay? So then it was a U.S. ship called the Silver Star or something, came upon them and boarded the ship and found everyone on board, even a dog, all dead with faces of fear. Just shock and fear, like they were scared to death of some kind.
Like
for
on
some
Harry
reason.
Potter?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh my God.
And they had no clue. There was no animals out there. There was nothing in the air that they could sense or see that could have killed all these people. And they went back onto their ship and were towing it in, and it caught fire. So they like released it, and it exploded and sank into the sea, never to be seen again.
What?
Isn't that wild?
Makes me think of the Malaysian Airlines flight. What's going on in Malaysia?
I don't know for sure if this was off of Malaysia. I think it was, but I'm not 100% sure. So don't quote me on that. But if it is, yeah, what's going on in Malaysia?
I don't know.
But anyway, I didn't put that one in here. I gave y'all a little brief summary. Sorry if you're not interested, skip. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you that because it was so wild. It was so weird.
I think about that flight a lot, though.
Do you?
What happened?
I don't know enough
Where
about
did
it to
they
even
go?
guess.
Nobody knows.
Probably the ocean. The ocean is just so vast, and currents moving, and it could have just broken apart I don't know, though.
I don't know. I don't know what to believe.
Very sad.
Because there's like some weird conspiracy stuff.
There always are. What is this one?
I don't know. Okay. I've seen a lot of stuff about it, and so I don't know what's real and what's not. So I don't want to be like, oh, this happened, and just tell you a lie.
Yeah.
Because I haven't.
There's a lot on it. What? I don't know.
I've seen a lot of things. So half of it could be made up.
I'll have to look into it then. Now
You
you've
should.
piqued my interest. But back to ghost ships, or these types of ghost ships. The first ship we're talking about is the ultimate ghost ship, the Flying Dutchman.
Oh my god, that's real?
It's real. It's a real
I thought it
legend.
was just SpongeBob.
I did too. That's the only, well, I've heard it on SpongeBob, and then I've heard it a few times here and there, like in some short stories and readings and stuff.
And like people, there's like drinks called that, but I
Are
thought
there?
it was just like a, I don't know, like a fun sea tale.
Well, it is. Or is it?
Okay. I don't
I'm
know.
not sure. It's a legend, really. And I never really knew the story behind it. I know it's like a really popular thing, and maybe a lot of you know it. I never knew the actual legend behind it. I just knew the Flying Dutchman and SpongeBob, basically.
Yeah,
is all
same.
I know about it.
Same.
So, we're putting it in here. The otherworldly ghost ship, shrouded in fog, has been spotted by sailors from all over the world, and mostly during treacherous storms. The first time it was mentioned in writing was in 1790 in a book titled Travels in Various Parts of Europe, Asia, and Africa during a series of 30 years and upwards by John MacDonald. And can we just agree to make book titles short enough so you can say it with one breath?
Honestly, I love absurd things like that, so that's great.
If it's a like emo punk, pop punk album title, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But
not a book.
that was a bit much. I don't know. And it was more of a like telling my tales kind of book, like a memoir.
Mhm.
And it felt too much. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about here. MacDonald wrote, quote, "The weather was so stormy that sailors said they saw the Flying Dutchman. Before 1790, though, people had been claiming to see the Flying Dutchman for decades as a bad omen for those setting sail across the open seas. Most sightings seem to be in the area of the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa, and this is where the legend is believed to have begun. The Flying Dutchman, I don't know if it was truly a real ship called the Flying Dutchman,
Mhm.
but there were tons of ships in that area. It was very inclement weather around that area of the world,
Mhm.
and a lot of ships did meet their demise there.
Yeah. So maybe it's just the energy of all the ships. Like it's just a bad area. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Like a culmination of
yeah,
all the energy and the trauma.
I guess.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But here is the legend. The Flying Dutchman was a Dutch ship belonging to the Dutch East India Company, led by a very prideful captain, Hendrik van der Decken. She was sailing to the East Indies to Amsterdam along a route commonly taken for trade in spices, teas, and fabrics. They had reached South Africa when they encountered a large storm. Many men in his crew begged Captain van der Decken to turn back and avoid the storm, but the captain believed they could make it, telling his crew that the ship would make it around the Cape even if it had to sail until doomsday. Why he said that, I don't know, but it
I
was
don't
just
know.
like curse immediately upon him.
I love Dutch names though.
He and the ship, in fact, did not make it. Not in life, anyway. Some believe that his declaration put a curse on him and his crew. The devil was enraged by his resistance to the monstrous storm and cursed the ship and the souls of the men on board to sail for all of eternity.
Oh.
There are some legends that say was a stipulation to the deal made with the devil that if the captain could find a woman to love him, then he and his ship would be released. He allowed him to go to shore once every 7 years to search for the love of his life.
As a ghost?
As a ghost? I don't know. Probably not. Probably as a man.
Okay.
But his crew was still back on the ship, like, come on,
Oh,
Captain.
Okay.
We're waiting for you. That could possibly explain why there have not really been any sightings of the Flying Dutchman since World War II. Like, maybe he found the love of his life during the war. Not sure. But anyway, moving on. Though there are no written records of a Captain van der Decken going down in a shipwreck near the Cape of Good Hope, the sightings of the Flying Dutchman persisted for centuries. Hundreds of sailors over the years have spotted her traveling very fast, and mostly during storms. The Dutchman served as a bad omen for those in the water, a sign of death to come. One of the most famous sightings of the Flying Dutchman was by the future King of England, George V, along with Prince Albert Victor. In 1881, the two were sailing on the English naval ship, the HMS Bacchante, when at 4 a.m. they spotted her off the coast of Australia. He wrote, quote, "A strange red light as a phantom ship all aglow, in the midst of which light the masts, spars, and sails of a brig 200 yards distant, stood out in strong relief as she came up on the port bow. The officer of the watch from the brig clearly saw her, as did the quarterdeck midshipman, who was sent forward at once to the forecastle. But on arriving, there was no vestige nor any sign whatever of any material ship as to be seen either near or right away to the horizon, the night being clear and the sea calm."
Why do they always refer to a ship as she and her?
I don't know.
Because when you were saying that for a second, I got confused. I was like, wait, Captain Vanderdecken was a woman?
No. Captain Vanderdecken was a man. His ship was a woman.
Okay.
Or referred to as she. Had female pronouns.
Okay. I'm just like, for a second, I was like, yes, I know what you're saying.
So sorry.
It was taking me a minute, but then whenever you said like the red light and she, I was like, oh, she is the ship. Okay.
Yes. Very sorry.
And the Flying Dutchman, I'm expecting a man. I don't know.
No, I get you. I'm very sorry for
sea
the
language.
we are not of the sea. Unfortunately for the HMS Bacant, the first man to spot the ship fell to his death from the top of the mast, like almost immediately.
Oh my god.
Proving true to the men that the omen surrounding the Flying Dutchman was real. In 1835, there was another written account of a ship spotting the Flying Dutchman when it was sailing at top speed towards them before disappearing suddenly when it should have made impact. So they saw it from afar and they're like, this ship is coming at us. And right before it hit them, it just vanished into a mist.
I like that. That's cool. Make them panic and then to be like, psych.
The same thing happened again in 1939, but to people on land in Cape Town, South Africa, when it vanished right before it ran aground. So people were just chilling outside, watching the ship come toward land. There was like, something bad is about to happen, and then disappeared right before it made landfall.
I wonder why. Like, why the threats?
I don't know. I truly don't know. And maybe just because it is a bad omen, and they're just like, hey.
So all the people?
Or they're like, please help us.
Oh, that's sad.
Anything that we can do to get help.
I don't know.
Legend says that if you spot the Flying Dutchman out in the water, then something terrible will come upon you during your voyage. And there are some who say that if you are able to hail the ship to you, then the immortal crew aboard the ghost ship will attempt to send messages to land to people who have long since passed. So they're trying to get, I don't know, letters to their loved ones or something.
Aww.
That is, if they don't take you on board with them to serve as a crew member for an undetermined amount of time in the afterlife.
That's scary. That's kind of like night marchers, how like if you spot them, you're coming into the march. I don't like that.
There are a few ships like that.
Ugh, why? Another reason to stay out of the ocean.
For this one, I'm not sure. Maybe just they're suffering and they want you to suffer with them. I don't know.
Creepy.
Flying Dutchman, really spooky. Glad I know this.
Didn't know it was real.
The story behind it. It's not just a ghost ship on SpongeBob.
News to me.
The next ship is yet another cursed vessel, but in a way set apart from the Dutchman, mostly because it was once a real ship.
Oh, confirmed?
Yes. The SS Squando was a Norwegian ship docked in San Francisco back in 1890. The legend differs depending on your source, but essentially, the first mate was having an affair with the captain's wife. When the captain found out, he became enraged and separated his first mate's head from his body.
Oh.
Very tragic.
My gosh.
His body was tossed into the San Francisco Bay, and his head was supposedly kept in a locker beneath the captain's bed. Again, this isn't, like, proven. This is the legend behind it. So I couldn't find any, like, documents, like, San Fran Bay.
Yeah.
Body found, captain arrested. Anything like that, you know?
Yeah.
But this is the story.
Kept his head? Why?
He was just angry.
Why? Okay.
I don't know.
This is like the second time we've heard that, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a lot. What are we doing? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. And you always ask me why. Like, I don't know what these freaks are doing.
Okay.
I don't know the reason behind this.
True, but it just like...
It makes
me
you...
away.
Why?
Yes.
The body was soon discovered when it washed ashore, and the Squando did not set off to its next destination before the captain and his wife were found out. They were taken from the ship and executed for their wicked deeds, and it's here where the Squando's bad reputation began. After the first captain was arrested, the owners of the ship quickly replaced him. But within just 1 month, the crew members mutinied, and the second captain was no more.
Ooh.
Captain number 3 passed from an infection he got from a cut on his hand, and Captain number 4 passed away during a fight shortly after he began working on the ship. And just 3 years later, in 1893, the entirety of Squando's crew deserted while the ship was docked in New Brunswick, tired of the ill-fated destiny the ship seemed to have. The ship had gained a reputation of being cursed at this point, and the owners were having a tough time hiring another crew. They hired night watchmen to keep an eye on the ship and stop it from being stolen while they looked far and wide for another captain and crew to man the ship. Unfortunately for them, they couldn't keep a night watchman either. There were reports of ghosts walking on the deck. The men would see shadows traipsing along through the corridors, and one claimed to have had a strange encounter in the captain's quarters. He heard a rustling noise in the cabin late one night. When he walked in with his lantern lit, he felt a firm grasp on the sleeve of his shirt. He turned sharply in the direction of the tug and claimed to have seen a bloodied hand. As he looked in horror at the arm attached to it, he followed it all the way up to find a headless man standing before him. In shock, he next turned back toward the bed where he heard a noise coming from the locker beneath. The door opened slowly, revealing the missing head to the apparition he saw before him.
What? He saw the ghost's body and the ghost's head.
He saw the ghost's body behind him and turned because he heard another noise, and the locker opened and the head was in there. And the ghost is like looking for his head.
I really hate that a lot.
Very scary.
It doesn't feel real to me.
It would feel real to you, I think, if you saw it.
True. Very true. Anytime we talk about like headless figures, it just seems like cartoony to me. It doesn't seem like, oh, that's real. It's just like, okay, yeah, you know.
I guess so. So the night watchman raced off the ship, standing a distance away until the morning came, and he could let his boss know that he would not be returning. The story remained the same for the next 6 watchmen hired on for the job, all of them experiencing strange and terrifying encounters aboard the cursed vessel. The job of finding someone to man the ship became more trouble than it was worth, and the ship was eventually dismantled, being relocated in pieces all over. Which is frightening. Like, what if all these pieces have a
energy
part of the haunting? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're just buying wood, you think, from just like a reclaimed ship
and build your house with it,
bringing a headless ghost. Yeah. Some believe the ship was cursed before it even took its maiden voyage by the wife of a construction crew member who passed away while building the ship, and the curse remains even still today. People have reported seeing the Squando sailing just off the coast of San Francisco, covered in fog and threatening anyone who dares to come near.
Oh my god. How come everything in the ocean, though, is like a bad omen? I feel like every time we talk about you seeing something in the ocean, even if it's a mermaid, it's a bad omen.
I think there are just a lot of superstitions surrounding the ocean. There have been for so long because it was such a dangerous thing for people to do back in the day. It was the only form of travel to most places, and it was just perilous.
That's true.
And so any little thing, they're like, oh, they must have crashed because they saw a mermaid. Oh, they must have sunk in the storm because they saw the Flying Dutchman.
Okay, just trying to make sense of things. Okay, yeah, I see that.
I think so.
I can see that.
But this is on ground. Like, you're looking out on the coastline and you see this foggy ship sailing along.
That's scary.
The next ship also has a tragic backstory and is well documented. So this one's very, very sad. Buckle up.
Oh gosh.
Constructed in 1882, the SS Valencia traveled as a passenger vessel from New York to Venezuela for several years before it eventually made its way up to the west coast of the United States to temporarily act as a passenger ship along the San Francisco to Seattle route. The ship that normally took that route was under construction or had some repairs going on, so the Valencia was sent up there to handle that task. In January of 1906, the SS Valencia picked up its 108 passengers and 65 crew members to start its voyage north. By the 21st, the ship was hit by torrential rainfall and strong winds, knocking the boat off course and causing the crew to lose all semblance of navigation. By the night of January 22nd, the ship had slammed into a reef just 11 miles off of Cape Beale on the coast of Vancouver Island. The collision tore a large gash in the hull of the ship, causing water to rush in. The captain of the ship attempted to prevent its sinking and ran the ship aground, driving the ship into the rocks, stranding the 173 people on board. Unfortunately, even more unfortunately, because this is all unfortunate, confusion amassed for those on board and almost all of the lifeboats were lowered against the captain's orders. So
they were panicking.
Yeah. 3 of them flipped before touching the water, and of the 3 that were successfully brought down for rescue, 2 capsized. 12 men were able to make it to shore to call for help with the other one. Even once they made it to the rocky seaside, the waters were so rough that they splashed against the rocks and took 3 more men with it. So only 9 of them made it up to land to go call for help.
Oh my gosh.
So as they were racing to a nearby lighthouse, back on the ship, waters were rising and the passengers, many women and children, just waking from sleep on impact, because it was late in the night, like almost midnight, were waiting for someone to save them. Another 6 men were able to make it to shore, attempting to call out for help. When ships nearby began to arrive for assistance, the storm was still too strong, and none of them were able to get close enough to help much with the rescue. When they realized they wouldn't be able to get to the passengers stranded on the sinking ship, one ship began to circle the area looking for survivors. They were able to find a raft of 18 men on board, and eventually a raft of 4 men made it to the coast in a First Nation community. Only about 37 people have made it off the ship.
Yeah.
Tragically, the large waves crashed into the side of the Valencia one final time, taking with it the ship and the estimated 136 people left on board.
And they were mostly women and children, because a bunch of men got away.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they send the women and children first? I thought that was like the rule.
I don't know. I think 1, panic. 2, maybe they were thinking, oh, if us men can get off and go find help. But I don't know, because they weren't like washing up onto a beach. It was like rocky seaside.
Yeah.
A lot of them stayed on board thinking rescue was coming too. So they were like, oh, we'll just wait when like my whole family can be rescued. After all was said and done, as we said, only 37 men survived the wreck, and it was the worst maritime disaster in the graveyard of the Pacific and was investigated by several government entities at that time. So multiple investigations going on to find out what went wrong and how they could avoid it again. The graveyard of the Pacific, which is that area around Vancouver Island, has a lot of stories to go there, and maybe one day we'll dive into that, because there's a lot of ghostly activity there because there's so much like death and trauma.
Yeah, was it just the storm was bad and that's like a rocky area, or?
Yeah, so the storm was bad. They were trying to get to Seattle, and the storm was so bad it blew them off course, and they passed the kind of cove or area that they had to go to, like the strait to get into Seattle, and kind of went around, and they couldn't even see the sky, so they had no clue where they were going, and eventually ran into a reef off of the coast, 11 miles off. So they didn't even see it coming, really.
The ocean's so scary, especially rocks in the ocean.
Yeah.
I recently went to California, and we were in the ocean, and a girl that was like running on the beach, she ran over to us. Me and Ryan were on the actual sand, and his cousin and his sister were swimming out by this like rock formation, and I already was like, that's probably not a good idea there, but she ran over to us and she was like, hey, I'm a lifeguard, I'm not on duty right now, I'm just like on my on my like afternoon run, but they need to get out, like that's so unsafe, we don't let people near those rocks, and we were like, sorry.
Yeah, they can get slammed into them.
And when they finally made it back to us, they were like, we were trying to come back, the water was pulling us in, and we were like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's so scary.
Very, very scary. But there were a bunch of crabs on the rocks, so they were trying to go see them.
So since that date in 1906, people have claimed to see a ghostly outline of the Valencia making its way toward the reef that caused its demise. So they'll kind of see it sailing out in the distance, the same ship over, like it's almost in a time loop.
Yeah.
Even more ominously, sailors have reported seeing one of the missing lifeboats of the SS Valencia manned by skeletons searching for safety.
What?
There have been multiple reports of people on other ships seeing a lifeboat, and when they get a closer look, it's just like 6 or 8 skeletons in there rowing the boat looking for a place to go.
Okay.
That is so scary. You don't believe that?
Okay, no.
Okay, I believe it, and that is so scary to me.
I don't. It's giving Scooby-Doo. It's like, that's not real. I can't believe. Okay, I can believe in like full body apparitions, but when you get to skeletons, it's like, I'm skeptical.
Boo.
I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. Well, I'm skeptical.
I left this one in here because it freaked me out, so so sorry.
Okay, my bad. I'm probably the minority here, but I'm just saying, not much of a believer in the skeletons rowing a boat.
Okay.
Shoot me.
Well, maybe you'll believe this one. Or maybe not. I don't know. Because this one's a little out there too, but this one was my favorite. And the last ship we'll talk about. It's the best. I truly think I saved the best for last one here. Okay. It is the Caleuche. Don't know if I'm saying that right because it is not in my native tongue. So this is the party boat of the afterlife, but don't get too excited because there's some darkness here too, as you'd expect.
I literally was like,
yeah, I knew you would. So I was like, whoa, wait a second. Also called the enchanted ship or the warlock ship, and some other words in this language that is not mine, so I'm not saying them. This ghostly vessel can be seen and heard off the coast of the island of Chiloé in southern Chile, carrying an array of entities on board every night. So it's just off the coast, a large shining white ship gliding through a mist with 3 masts that carry 5 sails. So it's just this massive ship. You'll know it's the Caleuche because of the bright lights coming from all of its windows and the music being carried all the way to the shore. The party within proving itself to be a joyous, rowdy celebration. So they're crazy out there. It supposedly carries the mythical creatures of the sea, dark witches and warlocks, and picks up the lost spirits of people who have drowned while out on the ocean to join their revelry. So the souls of the people who have drowned out, whether they're sailors or whatever, there are some entities that are kind of like mermaids-esque things and water spirits that will collect their souls and bring them on board the Caleuche.
I like that.
It is interesting. You may be able to join the party on Caleuche for one night if you're willing to make a deal with the warlock.
Oh.
So they believe that some of these warlocks are kind of in cahoots with the spirits, and they take these journeys on this party ship to do business and other things. They will bring you out to the ship and strike up a bargain, giving you merchandise and promises of prosperity in exchange for favors, sometimes including using your home for illegal or dark purposes. It's thought that any person on Chiloé who very suddenly obtains wealth or success may have made a pact with a crew of the members of the Caleuche.
Interesting.
So if someone comes up, just like has a big come up out of nowhere, they don't actually have never actually seen them selling too many things or anything like that. Just
They're
merchants. They're like, oh yeah, you made a deal. You made a deal with those spirits.
Interesting. Bunch of haters is what it sounds like.
People have claimed to see it sailing fast in the distance while out at sea, but oftentimes it will sink below the water before the boat has the time to approach it. So it just goes beneath and travels underwater too, so it can be undetected, I suppose. These are the lucky observers, because there are some who say if you are able to approach the ship, then the creatures and warlocks aboard will steal you from your own ship, capturing you and putting you to work as a slave in their never-ending debauchery.
Oh my god.
I told you, just wait. It turns dark. They turn their human slaves into something resembling a creature of Chilote mythology. It has twisted limbs, like all of its limbs are twisted around, the head facing the wrong direction, and one of its legs connected to its spine, unable to speak or escape, and only there to serve the ghostly partygoers. So they get morphed into this creepy thing. Like if you look at pictures, it's called like an imbunche or imbunch or ivunch. I don't know.
That's horrifying.
It's really scary. And they can't talk. They can just make this like gurgling noise.
Ew, of course.
If you're lucky enough to resist their tempting calls, they may still be able to get to you, turning you into a seal or a sea lion too. But they can just use their magic and
you're done.
Yeah. If you aren't called out, kind of like a siren called to their ship, then they're like, oh, you don't want to party with us? Well, off to the sea you go.
I don't like that we're talking about so many things lately that if you even just see them or approach them on accident, you're done.
Makes me want to stay in my house even more.
I mean, I'd do that anyway, but I really don't. That makes me super uneasy.
Chiloe sailors always warn people out on the open water to remain respectful, never sing or whistle out at sea, and steer clear of the outline of this massive ship, unless you wish to be taken in to serve their party for eternity.
Wow.
So spooky.
Spooky.
I liked it at first. I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And I was
fun.
like, whoa, wait.
It turned dark kind of fast.
Yeah.
I don't know where I stand with ghost ships.
Really?
Yeah.
Like you don't believe them?
Not really. I'm not sold.
So you're sold on mermaids.
Yes.
But not on a ghost ship.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting take.
I don't know. I think it's the fact that it's a vessel, it's a thing, it's an object and not a person.
Well, there are people on board some of these.
Yeah, but
like the Flying Dutchman.
Yes. I don't know. I'm not spooked. Yeah.
I was freaked out. Honestly,
really?
Yeah. And think maybe it's just because the thought of the ocean. I don't know. I'm a very imaginative person and I just picture myself out there for months at a time, unbathed and just tired, and seeing this outline of a ghost ship and thinking, well, this is it. This is the end.
Well, if you say it like that, like if you're lost at sea and you see one of these, I get kind of scared. But if I'm just like chilling on the beach and I'm having a good day and I see one out there, I'd just be like, oh, and I would go the other way.
And maybe also too, because when I'm on the beach and you see like merchandise ships and like big like barges and stuff out there in the distance, that gives me a chill like no other. Just seeing it sitting on the waterway out there.
It's huge.
And it's just so large, even from the distance that I'm at. Yeah. So something about, maybe that's what it is. I'm just envisioning this, and it's also deadly and full of ghosts.
Okay, well, that's scary. Because I was just about to say, there's a difference between seeing like big barges and like seeing like sailboats. Yeah. If I see a sailboat, I'm like, oh, that's so cute. I just want to paint
like
that.
Little sailboats. Some of these are like massive, like
huge,
giant, used long ago for traversing the seas.
Okay, maybe I'm just not painting a spooky picture in my mind because I'm just like, meh.
Just thinking like these little tiny speedboats just floating along.
No, I'm thinking like on SpongeBob and they're green. So.
Okay. I also picture the Flying Dutchman as shrouded in a mist of green.
Yes.
So, but it's probably because of SpongeBob.
Probably.
Isn't there a Pirates of the Caribbean movie?
You know what?
The Flying Dutchman.
Never seen any of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Really?
Movies.
I've only seen one.
Never seen them.
Or maybe two.
I never really cared.
Though my son does run like Jack Sparrow. So.
I don't know how Jack Sparrow runs, but I can see it. That's funny.
Pause, I'm showing you. That's how he runs. But anyway, never seen any of them. That's weird. They're like cultural moment.
I know. I've missed a lot of like big movies, but then I have my like niche ones that I'm like, how have you never seen that to people? And they're like, I've never even heard
like
of that.
Just cult classic kind of things.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, I'm a little disappointed at your reaction to ghost ships, and
I'm sorry.
Hopefully those in the comments there will be on board with me because
they probably will.
Loved this.
Let me know what y'all think. Am I just alone and pessimistic today? I might be. Well, I'm into like the mermaids. Every other.
Okay, that's true. That's true.
What was the one? Black-eyed children?
Oh yeah.
Frightened me to my core. And then
you still talk about it sometimes.
I know. And then trying to explain it to Ryan what they are, he's like, so it's just kids with dark eyes. I'm like, yes, but you don't get it. And it's, yeah, if I say it out loud to
it's more the vibe, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. See, I'm really weird. I believe wholeheartedly in some things. And then some of this, I'm just like, no.
Yeah, I definitely believe in this more so than mermaids, but
really, why?
I don't know. It just speaks to me.
Let us know what you think.
That little party ship.
This is
like
interesting to me, how we differ.
Yes, I agree.
Because I thought you would be into mermaids and be like, yeah, they're 100% real. Because you believe in fairies.
I was into fairies.
And when you told me about fairies, I was like, could be. I wasn't on board. So I don't know.
Well, next week we're talking about another haunted ship-esque, sort of adjacent. So come back for that.
I'm into it. I'm excited about that one.
I'm ready for that one too. We appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today. Let us know in the comments, for real. Do you believe in any of these? Am I weird? Am I the odd man out here? Is Natalie? Maybe it's 50-50. I don't know. Let us know. Follow us on socials, Ghosteas Pod. And if you have a story of your own, you can send it to us at ghosteaspod@gmail.com. Please send them in. We're ramping up for spooky season here. And so I've got a few things planned there. Yep. I'm really excited.
We're getting close. I'm really excited too. There's been so many cute items dropping. If y'all see any cute ghosty things, send them to us, because I would like to add more things to the set before spooky season.
She was just talking about adding more, and I was like, okay, well, we'll start looking.
Yeah. So let us know.
Like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and share this with your spooky friends if you think anybody else would be interested.
It's almost that time.
It's almost the time.
Let's go.
We'll see you next Monday.
Goodbye.